far. You killed that party.
Here.
Very cool. I just wanted to check. I didn't know so far so good either. Over the sea leaves or something. Birds. Just wanted to check.
All right, shall we get started? Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, good morning, everyone. We'll call to order the Colorado Aeronautical Board Meeting. We have two members that are stuck in traffic that they're going to be joining us as quick as they can get here. But let's start and see if we have any amendments to the agenda.
I have one amendment, Mr. Chair. After the director's report, I'd like to add an update from Beta Aircraft. Chris Miller from Beta is here. He's able to give us an update on the aircraft we talked a little bit about yesterday.
Great, thank you. Are there other amendments to the agenda? Let's move on to meeting minutes. We have 2 minutes to review and approve. First from April 16th. Do I hear a motion?
So moved. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion's approved. Okay, and now for the June 19th CAB meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
Approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. The June 19th minutes are approved. Okay, let's go to board member reports. And Clay, how about we start with you?
Nothing to report, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Daniel?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everybody. We're out on the Eastern Plains. We're just cruising right along. Still got lots of construction going on. I'd love to see all the construction going at our airports out there. Talking to guys at Lyman and Greg out there, they're getting ready for a taxiway reseal project. A little pavement into Yuma. They're in the process of getting a new city administrator, and at that airport, the city administrator is the airport manager. There's a lot of airports out there that don't have aviation people running the airport. So I've been in contact with those guys trying to help them along, making sure that they stay in compliance. And so there's one of the new ones. Akron's getting a new terminal building, which is a pretty cool deal. I saw some of the renderings for that building is going to be really nice. That's going to be right adjacent to some new parking apron that they just finished up in like April. So that's some pretty exciting stuff out there. Talking to Neil Wicke, who's the new manager at Fort Morgan. They've got some ramp expansion coming up and still kind of getting settled in there. I think he's doing a good job and settling in there. So talking to Luke at La Junta, they are getting ready for a mill and overlay on 826 coming up next year. So they're cruising right along. And Burlington, I guess I could talk about Burlington. That's my airport. So we're looking good out there. We got our taxiway project done back in June, and that's looking great. Our generator's been up and running for a few months now. We've already had the opportunity to use that a couple of times on schedule, which is great. So looking good. Our simulator that we still use that quite a bit. We're getting ready for some more kids to come out this fall. So as a reminder, that simulator was first certified in June of 23. So just over 2 years now. We've had, and my little town's got 3,700 people in it. And we've had 550 kids get to fly that simulator since we got it. So it's pretty exciting. We do a lot of outreach. We're going to have one of the grade school classes come through. That's about 70 kids that we have in one day, which is, I don't want to say exhausting. It's fun, but because the kids get so excited about Flight Simulator, and it's fun to experience that energy level. So, and we've got another couple classes lined up too. But we also bring in groups from other towns. We get different school districts that bring classes in. We get a couple of different homeschool organizations that bring kids through. And so that simulator is doing a lot of good for aviation out there. We have a blast flying that thing. So that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Trinity.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Trinity Zavo, the pilot organization's representative for the state. And so I would like to start with the Colorado Pilots Association first. They had a mountain flying course on August 16th, and the next one's September 27th at Centennial Airport and the Wright Brothers Room in the admin building. For more information, you can go to MTNFly at coloradopilots.org. That's Brian Brisky's number if you are interested in signing up for a mountain flying course or know anybody. The final fly-in for the Colorado Pilots Association will be in Hutchinson, Kansas, October 10th through 12th. We do a lot of fly-ins, fly-outs. So I think it's the last one. Hetty, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's the last fly-in for the year. Colorado Pilots Association Education Chair Mike Mayfield is seeking aircraft loading volunteers and pilots for the Challenge Air for Kids and Friends. So that's a national children's nonprofit organization for its fly-in events. It's held at Centennial, and it's going to be on Saturday, September 13th. They're hoping for over 100 kids to fly. So if anybody would like to be a load-in volunteer, it eases the pilot's work role because they can just focus on flying and have the load-in volunteers help load in. So that's coming up. If you're interested in that, you can contact Michael Mayfield, and it will be held at Modern Aviation. And let's see, it helps, by the way, that is the mission is to help kids with special needs so that they feel like they can fly an airplane. They're in an airplane for 20, 30 minutes, and it gives them just a good boost of confidence, and it's fun for them too. Let's see, what else? Basically, they said if you can fly a plane, you can do anything, is what they said for Challenge Air. And last year they had 54 people aged 7 to 21, and this year they want to have at least 100. The Colorado Pilots Association first annual potluck. They're going to do a potluck in the hangar at Shelter at BJC with hot dogs, hamburgers, and fun music games. So that is going to be held on Saturday, September 27th from 11 to 2. I'm going to mention Shelter a lot. So we have to give kudos to Shelter at KBJC at Metro. They offer, so they open up their building for so many events. So just want to throw that out there now. Women in Aviation International Mile High Chapter just had a scholarship event 2 days ago at Shelter to talk with women about getting scholarships, how to best apply for scholarships. And they just awarded a scholarship at the end of July. They're holding a Girls in Aviation Day in September at Shelter. So if you would like to go, it's Saturday, September 20th. And if you know anybody who would like to bring a girl aged 7 to 18, your daughter's 7? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so that's a really great event. Just sign up now. And if you'd like to volunteer for that, that's also a great thing to volunteer for. And they're having a social at Cast Iron Tavern Thursday, October 9th, with all of the proceeds going towards their scholarship. Or 10% of food proceeds. Colorado Aviation Business Association is the next organization. They're holding a 2025 Safety Day with renowned Gregory Fife. You guys know Greg Fife? He's a renowned aviation safety consultant, former NTSB senior investigator, and aviation safety expert. He's the keynote speaker. They're going to have a safety culture strengthening event. They call it a strengthening event. And it's sponsored by Nimble Smart Aviation. It will be held at the Cava 4 Points by Sheridan on Thursday, September 18th. So if you're interested in going to that safety culture event, that will be at that's the new hotel, right? The one that they renovated at Centennial by the tower. Let's see. I don't have anything for EAA, but they do continue to hold local visual flight rules and instrument flight rules programs every month at their various locations across the Front Range. So if you want to go and learn a little bit about visual flight rules, instrument flight rules, they have focuses that you can go and you can listen to these focus groups with EAA. And you can talk more about EAA, but that's all I have for that today. The Colorado 99s just this morning from 9 to 11 are out at TRACON doing a TRACON tour, and that's the Terminal Approach and Control building out at DIA or over there at DIA. So that's really fun for them. We're trying to actually get a TRACON group here, right, David? So I know somebody, so we can.
Over here, Mr. Payne's gonna help me.
No, Jason Graver's gonna help us. Reach out to Jason Graver to get us a tour over there. But anyway, Colorado 99s is a female pilot organization. They mostly GA, but they're out at TRACON. They're also going to do an air marking project at Greeley Airport, Saturday, September 6th, all day. If you're interested in helping the 99s paint the compass rose, you can do that at Greeley, September 6th, 7 to 3. And it's a very fun activity that they love to do for socializing. And they say there's something very satisfying about drawing lines and arcs and having them come together so perfectly into a beautiful compass rose. So, and you're having fun with your friends doing it. And you get to meet people. So if you're ever interested in socializing with the 99s, great opportunity there. Let's see. Oh, and they have a scholarship due October 1st, and they just awarded a scholarship. I should say tomorrow they're awarding a scholarship. I have no report for Civil Air Patrol. Colorado Aviation Historical Society. They were accepting nominations for the Hall of Fame, and I do believe, if it's okay to say who is going to be honored, is Bill Standifer, our mountain flying expert. So that Aviation Hall of Fame event is Saturday, October 18th. Aviation Hall of Fame, Saturday, October 18th. I'm looking at you. Can you see I'm looking at him? You'll be there, right?
I'll be there.
Okay, good. That's right. It is at the Lakewood Country Club. All right, next, Wings Over the Rockies has a middle school campus. This is kind of old school news, but in case you didn't know, they have a middle school campus to complement the high school campus. So I consider them a pilot organization because they do so much for the pilot community here in Colorado. Commemorative Air Force is holding a Mile High Wing Summer Concert Series at Shelter, August 30th. And that's an evening with a Tom Petty, Stevie Nicks experience. So the band should be pretty fun with Tom Petty and Stevie Nicks. There's going to be food, and Blue Sky Bistro is going to sponsor that at EJC. Doors open and it's $25. If doors open at 5 o'clock, it's $25. So if you want to go for that fun event, that's August 30th. I don't have a report for Colorado Agricultural Aviation Association or Angel Flight West today. But I do want to mention that the Seaplane organization is doing a lot of great work to get more people to consider the seaplanes here in Colorado. Don't want to exclude that organization from a report. I don't necessarily have one today, but they do have a lot of work going on with the FAA trying to get some more lakes on the map for that. And lastly, I have Colorado Aviation Photographers. Some of those photographers went out and did a photo shoot with the Women in Aviation chapter with the vintage aircraft at Centennial Airport at Shelter. And one of the aviation photographers for Colorado was out there taking these beautiful vintage photos, like the vintage female pinup kind of photos. And that I just wanted to shout out to Laura Connersman for that. She did a great job helping the Women in Aviation Mile High chapter. And that is my report. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Great. Mark?
Well, EA had a resounding successful air venture Oshkosh again this year. Record number of attendance, 704,000 folks found their way to Oshkosh, Wisconsin, which was exciting. The weather was pretty good. Over 10,000 airplanes. This is the first year that that aircraft were not turned away who wanted to visit. There 2,600 show aircraft were on display, and almost 1,000 vendors. So it's a great show. Colorado showed itself very well. I'm not going to steal Sean or David under about that. To talk about the division's presence, which was simply outstanding. I had the opportunity to have dinner one night with the Deputy Administrator of the FAA, Christopher Shaw, and we had a very engaging conversation about digital towers. He said to me, he goes, there's this guy out there that's just incredibly passionate about remote towers. This guy named Bill Payne. If your ears were burning, Bill, that was great. And then on Thursday, there was in Theater of the Woods at Oshkosh, they had meet the administrator, and Dave Dave Elaine got an opportunity to ask a question of Brian Befford about digital towers and that technology. Kind of an underwhelming response, but as you said, he was new 5 days into the job. So, but we're getting some attention. Anyway, Oshkosh was spectacular, and again, you'll hear more from Sean here in a few minutes. I'm disheartened to tell you that Colorado Skies Academy, the middle school at Centennial Airport, which had an emphasis or focus around aviation, was forced to close in July. This board gave a grant to the school, which was used to purchase drone equipment, and so we're in the process of recovering that and hopefully redeploying it to another school. But this would have been the 7th year of the school, but again, a perfect storm rained down and the school had to close. So that's unfortunate. 2 weeks ago, I had an opportunity to go to Burlington, Vermont, and attend the Joint Aviation Manufacturer Association strategic planning meeting, and then that for half a day, and then 3 days of flying around Vermont, New York, and Maine, and landing on grass strips. But we were hosted by Kyle Clark and Beta at the Beta facilities. Yeah, I have lots to say about that. I'm not going to steal your theater, so when you talk, I'll share some of my observations about this. Great technology for CTOL and VTOL aircraft. We saw the airplanes fly, and a few people got rides in them. So spectacular progress, and so I'm sure you're going to share more about that. At the strategic planning meeting, though, Dan Edwards, who is the deputy secretary for aviation affairs for DOT, spoke, and we had it in the meeting and outside the meeting, and I also had an opportunity to talk to him about digital towers, so and the importance of that technology. So again, I think we're getting some traction at different levels and having these kind of conversations, and that's my report.
Thank you, Mark. Angela?
A few updates I'll talk. First, just high level from the West Slope. It has been a terrible year from a fire perspective on the West Slope. Anyone hasn't heard that? The worst year ever in terms of acreage and total number of fires. I mean, countless storms, would produce suddenly 10 new fires. Not exaggerating. So all of the airports in the Western Slope have been supporting those efforts. In Grand Junction, we have joint BLM and Forest Service wildland firefighting base. And so that has had its busiest year ever. They've pumped as much retardant as their peak year back when they were using old World War II aircraft for firefighting that could hold a lot of retardant. So just been wild. They've pumped close to 2 million pounds of retardant. Same time, Front Range, you guys have had a lot of thunderstorms. That's caused a lot of diversions on the Western Slope. So Bryce, good news for you is fuel sales have been outrageous. So in the right direction. So, we've sold over 2 million gallons of fuel this summer, which is close to double what we typically sell. So the fire season has been busy. And like I said, every airport has been helping with that. We've had record-breaking diversions in Grand Junction. The most diversions we've had was in 2019. We had 392. By the end of July, we had already had 392 diversions in Grand Junction year to date. And so we've far surpassed 400 now in our busiest year. And the wild thing is diversions in Grand Junction tend to be dominated by mountain airport diversions, specifically Aspen diversions in the winter. We've had more diversions in the summer than the winter this year coming from Denver. So just been really busy on the West Slope, kind of dealing with all the extras, but busy is also fun in airports. We're ready for a boring month, all of us, so that we can catch up. Gunnison, Durango, Eagle, and Grand Junction all have record-breaking traffic this year, and are seeing a lot of air service success. The other mountain airports kind of had huge success the last few years, and things are starting to stabilize there. And then construction, it's been a busy construction year at all the airports. So Durango just hit a big milestone on the project, was able to open some new baggage claim facilities, and they're on track for their terminal expansion to open in 2026. Steamboat was very excited because yesterday they received notice that they're getting an FAA grant award for their terminal area improvements. And so specifically, they'll be able to reroute their access road, relocate the fuel truck parking canopy, and construct infrastructure for a self-serve fuel site. So really big improvements for them. They're excited. Gunnison completed their taxiway connector project last month, and they're getting ready to complete their CDOT funded runway and taxiway fog seal project next month. Rick Lampert is nervous because he's Rick, and so he's hoping all the contractors are going to be lined up, but sounds like things are on. And then they are in the process of a runway magnetic variation redesignation change. And so that'll be finalized in March 6th. Cortez has also been busy. They have been prepping for their runway 321 rehab, lighting and navigate upgrades in September. They'll have a 20-day runway closure from October 4th to October 24th. They'll have a mill and overlay project going on, LED light conversion, electrical navigate replacement. They're getting a lot done in that short window. And things are going well with Denver Air Connection for them, and they are on track to have their Part 139 certification back, possibly as early as next year, but definitely by 2027. And the TSA has been making improvements there as well. In Grand Junction, our runway project, my toddler would say we're still scooping dirt, dumping dirt, but it is a little bit different than it's been. We've moved over 4 million yards to date, and the subbase construction has been underway for several months and is going really well. We received our AIP grant awards to fully fund the rest of subbase construction. And so we received, that was about 12.5 million to get that work done. And then the FAA has been able to find some extra money to put towards paving. The paving work will get bid out late this year, early next year. And so far they've been able to find about an extra $18 million, and we're hoping it'll be even more. So we are on track to have the runway open by 2029. Our prior target was 2030. And when I say target, I mean target because it was really unclear how we were going to get there even just a few years ago. But now we are on track to actually open the runway in 2029, and we'd love to move that up to 2028. I don't think it's possible to move it up much more than that, but it makes the project better in every way. I mean, it's more efficient, financially better product. We get to pave a lot at once. And so we're really excited about it, and hopeful that our friends at the FAA will find us even more money. That's all I have.
Commissioner.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Chair. I have been out of town, so I have not had my boots on the ground, but I would like to share one thing that happened about a week ago at Centennial. We had a vintage bi-wing aircraft, Fokker D7 replica ground loop while attempting to land on runway 28. Single pilot was uninjured, but the aircraft ended up on its nose just off the runway, and the plane was flying in to be part of the Morgan Adams event. So I did want to share that. It was a little bit of excitement, and but I look forward to being at the next meeting with a complete report of everything that's happening in my neck of the woods.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Report.
Kevin.
Mr. Chair, first apologies for being late. As you may have heard, there was a I guess, a big accident on 47. So I was trying to navigate around that, and it was significantly delayed. A lot of people late for the airport and praised. I'm trying to get out of sure. So a few comments. First, I attended a presentation last night. I suspect it's already been reported on how lead can affect communities, particularly children. Dave was kind enough to participate in that. I thought it was really well done. And Dave, I thought you did a great job. It's wonderful to see academics, researchers, elected officials, aviation leaders coming together and finding a point of alignment, which generally is there is no safe levels of lead, particularly for children. So very appreciative of Dave's time and the volunteers that pulled that session together. Second, we received an interesting inbound inquiry from a resident in unincorporated Boulder County. And I had the opportunity to speak with her. She had concerns around changes in flight patterns. Came to my attention. I thought it'd be a good opportunity as a community representative to plug in. There obviously isn't anything I can do about flight patterns, nor frankly anybody at this table. But it was great to give this particular resident an ear to bend. She had some concerns and feels like she was sort of getting, hey, I talked to this person and they pointed me over here, they pointed me over there. And it was just very helpful as a member of the community, again, to give her that ear to bend. So I appreciate it, which gives me, and we talked about this a bit yesterday in a workshop, an area where I believe that I personally, as a community representative on this board, would love to help. So if anybody in the aviation community is receiving those types of inbound inquiries or would like me to join you as you're engaged in community outreach for folks that are not living aviation day to day and may feel some stresses or concerns, I'm happy to join you in those conversations on a go-forward basis and talk a little bit about the good work that this board has done and some of the great initiatives that others in the community are working. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Steve?
Yeah, so a few things. The Colorado Airport Operators Association Board had the lobbyist flag some legislation that I just wanted to let people know about. It's proposed legislation. I don't have a number, but it's called Uncrewed Aircraft Systems Rights and Authorities Act. That is, I think the good parts that I saw are that it clearly calls out federal authority over airspace. So it's making it real clear that it doesn't want to step on any of that or conflict with it. It also seems to be protecting the rights of drone operators, which I know airports, specifically Daniel, I know using drones a lot. At Denver International, our operations team uses drones and it gives us awesome information. So it's really a good tool. But there's another aspect that airports are concerned with, and that's the people that are flying them in a way that interferes with aircraft or with airports or is a threat or hazard for critical infrastructure like airports. And this proposed legislation seems possibly to limit the local ability to make any kind of regulation or ordinances that touch on drone operation. There's been some local legislation that's been really successful, like Las Vegas, I think it is, that has some that they implemented that basically talks about where you can operate a drone from. So it's not trying to legislate the airspace or do anything with that, but it doesn't allow you to operate a drone from the ground around the airports in certain distance. That just gives the local police the ability to approach somebody and possibly do something if they're having some impact on air commerce. FAA and FBI, TSA, we work with all of those groups and a bunch of others. They're really, I think, concerned about that now too, and trying to do what they can to, from a federal level, take care of some legislation that local communities can use to make that initial contact so that they can then follow up better later on. And CAOA is not really taking a position on this right now. But I did want to just share that, and if any local communities are interested in checking it out, it'd be worth looking at if you're interested in that topic. The other is at Denver International Airport. August 5th, we opened up the east checkpoint on level 6, closed down the south. Dave, I think Daniel and Bree showed up at the ribbon cutting, so thanks for that. It's been really working well since it opened up. It's still just, I mean, that was a kind of a major phase of that whole terminal redevelopment that's going on. It was a nice big step for us and has already made an impact. I think the next one I'm looking forward to is another phase. There are several more to go through 2027. Next one I'm looking forward to, though, is where they're going to be basically providing. Right now, you can go through east or west, and you can either go down the escalators to the train. They're long escalators. We call them the triple escalators, but you can go also now to the north over the bridge. So that's a nice option to have now that didn't exist. And the next phase, though, will open up in the middle, a bridge that allows you to go down to level 5 and then down again to the train platform. And they'll be eventually opening up some more gates or checkpoints down there, rather, for screening. So looking forward to that. One that I did want to touch on quickly is just, I think some of you might have seen in the news, Denver International Airport did an RFP for a study for a small modular nuclear reactor. And I just wanted to hit on that because it got some pushback real quick. They withdrew it. They will be going back and approaching this because what that is it's not the airport building a nuclear reactor. There is new technology out there, and we as airports, and really I think the whole community, have issues that are coming toward us with our grid and the power supply. We're adding developments, we're adding EVs, all the charging, electric aircraft possibly, and just plain old development, like around airports. All of those need power, and we just don't have it right now. And so those microgrids are something that we've just got to explore in terms of, are they viable? What are the risks? What are the hazards? Is it something that we could afford or might help us to take care of that future need? So what they've done is they've taken that RFP back. They're going back to the community, I think, to have a little bit more engagement locally there to find out what additional questions should we be adding to that study to make sure that we get some answers that everybody wants so that we can make a good decision on what to do for power in the future. And then the last one is a quick one, but I couldn't quite stand it. We had another FAA inspection, Part 139 inspection with no findings, which is, again, outrageous for an airport like us. There are so many people involved in taking care of the airport on a day-to-day basis. They all have to work together to make that happen at a big airport, and pretty thing I'm proud of. So that concludes my report.
Very impressive. Thanks.
I had a quick question. That UAS legislation, was that federal?
No, it's
That's
state.
Okay.
Colorado.
Okay.
And I don't know, I don't have a number or anything for it, but
Appreciate that.
and I've got a copy of what loan or give you one.
Great.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, apologies for being late to you. When you get stuck on 470, there's nowhere to go. I do want to, I'm sure everybody else has talked about it and I missed it. There was an event last night that had I thought, a very good discussion about the hazards of leaded fuel. I'm very grateful to Director Elaine and for Centennial Airport for coming to what they thought was potentially a firing squad. They still came. I think it was a really great conversation. I'm very grateful that they were willing to present. I think it's really important that the community knows the good work that the division's doing, that the efforts that the board and the division are making towards funding and encouraging adoption of unleaded fuel infrastructure and all of these different alternatives. Really grateful to Centennial for really leading the way in the state of Colorado and frankly the country with the adoption of unleaded fuel. So I thought that was really great that they were willing to talk about it. And I think as a community, it's a state, it's something that we need to celebrate. So I'm glad that we had the opportunity to do that. there will be a video. I cannot promise when that will be, but it will be. There was a recording made, and I'm very happy to update everybody when that is posted, so those who weren't able to make it last night can have a chance to witness it for themselves. Other things, I feel like every 2 months is a lot that has happened. The airport director, Levi Brown at Longmont, was very kind enough to give me an airport tour, so that was a very interesting thing to see firsthand. The only other time I've been on that airport was a friend got surprise engaged at Mile High skydiving about 20 years ago, so that's the only time I've been on the airport. So it was nice to see that not much has changed, but I'm sure also a lot has changed. There's something else that happened. Oh, the big thing, I was fortunate enough to be able to take a ride in the electric aircraft, which I'm sure you're about to hear a lot more about. That was a very cool opportunity. It was really interesting to be able to frankly see an area. I grew up in Littleton, to see sort of where I spent my early years from up above, but also have the chance to experience a new technology firsthand. Really looking forward to that being brought into more widespread adoption, and I'm grateful that the division and the board allowed me that opportunity, and I'm sure everybody will be excited to hear more about it. And I know a lot of people were jealous. I got texts from people on this board, but also from across the country who were very eager to hear about my experience, so that was very cool opportunity. I think that's it for me.
Thank you, Bree. Remy, did you want to add?
I just wanted to give a good kudos to Bree for last night, organizing, David E. Lang being the speaker, Kyle Brown was there, Zach from Centennial was there for the lead overhead discussion. You could hear a pin drop. It was so quiet. Everybody was so absorbed into what Kyle and Zach and David were saying, just reassuring the audience that we are doing everything we can to, help the situation. So kudos to that. You could hear actual sighs of relief. If you didn't hear a pin drop, you would hear sighs of relief. So it was really good feedback last night. So really pleased how it turned out.
Thank you.
Kudos to you.
Great, thanks, Trimby. At 33 Victor, I'm pleased to report and incredibly appreciative and grateful to the division and to the board that the runway project is proceeding very nicely, that new pavement will be coming within the next few weeks. And looking forward to celebration up there on September 30th to see that our airport will be alive and well for decades to come, thanks to everyone's hard work. So incredibly appreciative for that. On the West Slope front, as Angela touched on, the wildfire issues, in a prior life, I staffed my boss on the Forestry Subcommittee, House Natural Resources Committee, and then as Assistant Director at Department of Resources here in Colorado. And like many things, we've stopped managing our forests, and largely because we have these incredible administrative burdens. Statutes like NEPA, when it was first developed in the 1970s, an environmental impact statement was 10 pages long. Today they can run thousands of pages. They take on average 4 to 6 years. They can take a decade. NEPA projects I've worked on taken a decade to complete. So as a result, our land managers have their hands tied. We're importing our lumber from Canada, and in the meantime, our forests are burning. Not to mention the terrible effects on wildlife and the environment, but the health effects from smoke. So much like you all grapple with airport projects, we're not a country that builds anymore. And I think we have opportunities to streamline some of these laws to turn those things around. And I sure hope that we'll see that occur. And that's my report, Dave. Let's see, are we at public comments?
We're at airport updates.
Airport updates, thank you.
I think we've got Zach Gabehart from Centennial Airport on the line to cover the next one. I would add, before we turn over to Zach, I too was jealous of Bree because I tried to score a ride in that aircraft and told I was 10 pounds overweight. So frustrating. But anyway, that's a new motivation for me to get on the Peloton some more. So anyway,
Okay, do we have anyone from Centennial?
Zach is here. Let's get him tuned in. Where you go? There you
Yeah, good morning, Chair Holsinger, members of the board. Can you guys hear me okay?
go.
Zach, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
There we go. All right.
All right. Good morning, everybody, members of the board. My name's Zach Gaypart. I'm the Noise and Environmental Specialist at Centennial Airport. So just a couple updates to give. So I'll start with kind of what Dave has on the screen. So earlier this year, we were approached by a Swiss aerospace company called H55. They're a company that builds an electric power plant that they're currently retrofitting into the Bristol B-23 Energic, which is a common training aircraft used in Europe. So they approached us at Centennial. They were on a tour across America, wanted to have a stop in Colorado. So I was fortunate enough to be able to work with their team to bring their aircraft here for about a week and a half. They did several ground demos of the technology and then several flights, including one, obviously, that Bree got to go on, which was super awesome to see. It was pretty cool to see an electric aircraft like that, how easily it integrated into our busy airport and our busy airspace, and to really show that it has a positive noise benefit. So while they were here, we used our permanently installed noise monitors. Did a test flight with a Cessna 172 and then with the Bristol B-23 following close behind. And it consistently came in 8 to 10 decibels quieter than the normal training aircraft we see that use the airport daily. So it's super cool to demonstrate that noise benefit and be able to do some real world testing while that aircraft was here. So just a couple other things from Centennial. So JSX, the Part 380 public charter operator, they're set to commence operations in September. So that service will begin September, and they're initially flying to 4 separate destinations out of Centennial. So with that kind of brings us to our Part 150 study. So we had an FAA approved forecast. We had run our noise contours, and we were looking at noise alternatives. Once JSX was approved to operate here, the FAA came back to us and requested that we go back and revise our operations forecast to account for those JSX operations. So that's kind of where we are in the 150 now. So we've resubmitted our forecast with those changes for JSX. So as soon as we get that approval back, we will rerun our noise contours, and then we'll kind of be back to where we were before. So a slight delay in that, but we're still moving ahead, and very important from our perspective to make sure those operations are included, looking out to the next 10 years. We've started major repairs on our air traffic control tower, so that's underway. If any of you have been to Centennial recently, it's fully covered in scaffolding now, so it's got an interesting look to it. So that work is underway and expected to be completed sometime next year. And then the last thing I've got is our Four Points by Sheraton Hotel on the airport is now reopened. So they've been pretty successful in booking out rooms and have a restaurant and bar there. So it's pretty cool to see that reopen and the community and airport and people visiting the airport being able to utilize that again. So that's all I've got, but happy to answer any questions on any of those topics I covered.
Thank you, Zach. Any questions? Okay, great. Do we have someone from Rocky Mountain Metro as well?
You do. This is Ben Miller.
Hello, Ben.
So I can cover the Part 150 study if you like.
Please.
All right. So it sounds like we're tracking, I don't know, I guess about 4 months behind Centennial on our Part 150 study. I'll just say it's been a request of various airport stakeholders over the years, and we're thankful to the FAA for coming through with grant funding for that project. We selected RSNH, and we've been working with them through 2025 so far to kind of do the behind the scenes data gathering as part of the first phase of the study, leading towards those noise exposure maps. Public engagement is obviously an important part of the study, and so we had our first open house on July 10th. with approximately 90 people in attendance. We're also doing kind of normal check-ins with the Jeffco Airport Advisory Board. And we took a slightly different tack on like a study committee. We're doing 3 different focus groups, airport user focus group, community member focus group, and a planner focus group. And so they've met 1 time as well, and they'll meet up to 6 times throughout this study. So the next phase for us is that we're awaiting that operations forecast from RSNH and eagerly waiting to go through that with them before we send that off to the FAA for approval. And then we'll kind of targeting the beginning of the year for a draft noise exposure maps and a technical report. And that would be when the next open house comes as well. So that's kind of the status for us right now. And we hope to move on to the second phase of the study here next year.
Great. Thank you, Ben. Any questions? All right. We'll move to public comments. We have 2 folks that have signed up for public comments. Just a reminder, this is not a question and answer. It is a comment period, limited to 3 minutes per person. And Scott, still with us? Here you are.
Hi.
Hi, please.
Yeah, thank you. As you can see on your screen there, I'm here along with Doug Eastman, and we are a group that is putting together an event that is going to be associated with the America 250 Colorado 150. That's going to highlight aviation and be a celebration for everything that aviation has done for Colorado. You can see on the screen the partners that we have already put together. It's growing exponentially. This is a project that I reached out to David for some help with, and now this has starting to take its own legs and grow almost to the point where we are having to control it. So the state is very excited about this. Governor Polis's office is very excited about it, along with everybody that we've mentioned this to. So you can expect this event to take place over the weekend of August 1st of 2026. It will involve all aspects of aviation. We expect to have numerous aircraft flybys during the day, an air show, fireworks, drones, concert, a big gala celebration that will all culminate at the end of the day as a celebration for all of the 150 events that are going on throughout the state. So that's what we're here to talk about today. There'll be more updates and information coming. You'll hear a lot about this over the next several months. We've proposed some things to Hetty and David to get all airports in Colorado involved in this through the passport proposal that you're all discussing, and bring awareness to this event for not only aviation, but the entire state. As a state, Colorado has this unique opportunity of being 150 years old at the same time America is also 250 years old. So this is going to be a highlighted state, and this will be a highlighted event within that. So this, we hope, will be the big aviation event next year surrounding the Colorado 150 event.
And thank you, Scott. How do folks reach out? How do they find out more?
We will be very shortly attached to the Colorado 150 link on History Colorado, who History Colorado is actually the main organization under the governor's office that's managing the Colorado 150 events. And you'll see a series of other events that will be going on throughout the year, and we will have our event up on that website shortly.
Wonderful. Any questions for Scott?
If airports would like to participate, is there someone else they should reach out to, or should they still go through History Colorado?
Well, I will tell you that that's a project that I understand Hetty's going to be working on along with David. So she was voluntold that will be
Good for us.
next year. So you can connect through Hetty. This event, if you can see by the screen there, the Rocky Mountain Metropolitan Airport has generously offered us the opportunity they will be our host for this event throughout the weekend. That's where it will actually physically be located, but you can expect to see airplanes in the sky over all of the 150 and all the 150 events that are going to be going on. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Dave, can that be a normal agenda item or a report item in?
Yeah, if you're willing to give us an update every month on, or every other month on your meetings on how you guys are doing, either virtually or in person, we'd love to put that under our program updates, because we'll definitely be happy to.
Yeah.
Right, we can do that.
Yeah, we're happy. Doug and I, one of us, or along with Hetty, would be more than happy to report monthly.
That would, yeah. You know, it can be a 5 monthly, so not too bad.
You bet.
We'd love to track that.
Good.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I would say, if y'all remember the flyover that happened pre-DIA opening in 1995 that United did, Scott's day job, I don't want to put him on the spot, is with United. I told him we were only going to help if he was able to do a similar flyover with every aircraft type in their fleet.
I guarantee every year.
I know. I told him that was the only one. I want to see that again, because
I can share with you that we are in discussions with United right now, and they have at least given the initial go ahead with a flyover with one of their aircraft, which we hope to have 150 aircraft fly over that day, and that will represent every aircraft that you can imagine, from helicopters to commercial to experimental to military. We expect to see everything that we have here in Colorado in the sky that day.
Hey Scott, if you need a sportsman shout.
I'll let you know there, Mark. I'm sure we can find room.
Great. Thank you again. Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
Back to public comment. The other person we have signed up to speak, Brad Walker.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Awesome. Good morning, everyone. Just a couple comments really quick. I would like to see the CAB implement state email addresses for all the members, as well as an email address so that the public can connect with all the board members. Currently, that's not available, and I think that works to your disadvantage, because if there are any core requests, then it can get a little bit difficult having to round up all those emails. So I think it's really important that each member of the CAB have their own state email address. It helps to clarify things and works to the public interest. So that's my first comment. And then I would like to remind the board that, let's stay focused on dealing with issues at the statewide level, which is what the CAB charter is, and not get so focused on the nuances of things happening at the local Front Range airports, specifically Centennial, RMMA, as well as Boulder. Let's not get dragged down into the mud. Let's stay positive and look at all the airports statewide. So appreciate that, and keep up the good work, and I'll see you at the next meeting. I'm sorry I can't be there in person. You folks have a great week.
Thank you, Brad. Okay, agenda item 7, director's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know it's been covered by several of the members, but did appreciate again the opportunity to participate in the event up in Boulder yesterday. Thank you to Bree for the invitation. It was a fantastic event. It was a civil discourse. It covered a lot of information. It's how every public conversation about any topic should go. And I know in today's era, that doesn't always happen. I was very pleasantly surprised the way the questions were managed was effective. Everybody got questions in from all sides. Had a chance to spend some time with the organizers afterwards, talking with them one-on-one, and said, look, if we can keep doing it this way, we are happy to engage and love to keep you up to speed on the good work that we're doing. So Rep. Brown was very complimentary of our work and pulled me aside after. Wanted to make sure that I had thanked the staff for our timely efforts in implementing his bill. So that was very nice to see him. So again, Bree, thanks for the invitation. It was great. We'll look forward to continuing to share the good work with those folks up there. And it's a perfect example of how we talked yesterday about leveraging the new cab role. So that event was fantastic. So that was very cool. On Monday and Tuesday of this week, I was down in Dallas for the American Association of Airport Executives General Aviation Conference they put on every year. Kind of interesting along those lines. A couple of themes came out of that conversation with GA airports across the country. Was community engagement, community outreach. I can tell you the challenges that our airports are facing on the Front Range here are not unique to Colorado. They're happening everywhere around the country. And then the other focal point, it's one that we certainly don't have a dog in this fight, but a lot of conversation among GA airports about implementing landing fees to help make themselves more self-sufficient and how they do that in the policy. There was a great panel talking about that, pros and cons. So very interesting to pay attention to that conversation on how that works. So good event down there. Lastly, to your point about Morgan Adams, I felt so bad about that aircraft mishap. I had the honor of being a volunteer aircraft judge for the concours on Saturday night. There were 3 vintage aircraft that came in from Platte Valley Air Park and the Vintage Aero Museum up there. Myself and our other 2 judges actually picked the 1917 SPAD 13 as the best of show. It was really a remarkable airplane that 110 years old. I don't know how much of it's original, but it looked like it came right off the battlefront in France. It was very, very cool to do that, and appreciated the opportunity to do that. So last thing I touch on for everybody else that we cover with the board, we're in the final stages of the division's reorganizational update. So several months ago, Todd became our deputy director. Caitlin is assuming what is technically our new position of contracts and procurement specialist to help kind of focus all of that work we do into one position. And then we are currently out advertising for a new planning manager position to backfill Caitlin's position. And that closes on Tuesday of next week. So we'll look forward to doing interviews and getting that going, and we'll keep you all posted on how that goes. And we'll see if we can be able to introduce our new person to you at the October meeting. Every time I get excited about how fast HR selection within the state process works, I get disappointed. So we'll see how it goes. But that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Dave. Any questions? All right, let's talk electric aircraft. Chris?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, thank you all for having me here. Special thanks to David for inviting me. Talking is not my weakness, so feel free to shut me off if you'd like. And also, never been in the center of a room before, so I'm going to try to forgive me if I'm distracting, moving around. Yeah. Super happy to be here. A little bit of background on me. My name is Chris Miller, Christopher Miller, whatever you want to call me. I'm a private pilot. Did engineering, a little bit of background, worked for a consultant firm, and I've designed / built just about everything on an airport, including electric chargers now, which is pretty cool. And I exclusively ski in Colorado. So I love this state. I come out here every year. So super happy to be here. So this is our plane right now, our CTOL plane. I just want to mention before we get started, every picture you see in here is an actual photo of our aircraft flying. We don't do any renderings. We don't do any like Photoshop, any of that. Our CEO, Kyle Clark, he's huge about let's go do it and talk about it almost to a fault, right? And so this is our aircraft flying over in Salt Lake City, doing a demo flight this past April, flying over some mountains that look very similar to ones just behind me right here, right? So I just want to point that out. There we go. So Beta at a glance. That is our manufacturing facility. Mark and Bree probably look similar, familiar to you all, up in Burlington, Vermont. But we're an electric aerospace company focused on sustainability and the next generation of aircraft. We're about 750 employees, but every aircraft that we make comes out of that facility. All of our chargers come out of that facility. We have a lot of hardworking folks. And we are proud to say we have 4 production aircraft that have all come out, and they're all flying around actually globally now. So this is an important slide I wanted to touch on. These are some of our partners and just some. And the only way you can get on the screen as of today is you've actually put money down. You've actually ordered aircraft. You've helped funded Beta. Sorry if I'm blocking the view. But the list is much longer than this that we're talking to, right? And the goal is to keep growing this. But these are just a few partners that are not only in Colorado now, but could also come here with this technology, right? So as Mark probably saw, for those of you who are at Oshkosh this year, we were in the air show. In fact, that one literally to the left, there's the one that flew, 916 Lima Foxtrot. But we have 2 different types of aircraft at the current moment. And I just want to state that Aaliyah is not Beta, right? We have more aircraft, right? This is just our first generation of aircraft that we are manufacturing, right? So we have our CTOL on the left there. When I say CTOL, conventional takeoff and landing, takes off and lands just like any other plane. How many pilots do we have in the room? Awesome. All right, next meeting, we're all gonna raise our hand, right? So, the conventional takeoff and landing, right? It's gonna land at all these wonderful airports in here. It's gonna take off. It's gonna use all the existing infrastructure that we have today, right? And then eventually in the near future, we have our VTOL, right? On the right, which is the vertical takeoff and landing, right? When people say AAM, that's typically what people think is that vertical takeoff and landing, right? Where the idea is it's going to take off like a helicopter, then your pusher motor's engaged. Once you're kind of runway in the sky, once you get to 90 knots, you're going to disengage those top rotors. They're going to store. You're going to be completely on the wing. And then when you go to land, you engage those top rotors again, turn your pusher motor off, you land just like a helicopter. So you get the efficiency of a helicopter, the economics of a plane. It's kind of the best of both worlds, right? All right, cool. So we're kind of taking a crawl, walk, run approach to certification, right? Working with the FAA. So this year, I'm proud to announce our engine will actually be certified independent of any airframe. And so what that means is it can go in any other airframe, and it is a 98.5% efficient engine, right? Completely air cooled, completely electric. It's pretty amazing, the technology. I could go on a whole hour rant just about that. So find me after if you're interested. Then next year, we're tracking to get our CTOL certified. And then the year after, our VTOL, right? And there's an 80% commonality between that CTOL and VTOL, which means we're going to have a ton of safety data on our CTOL frame certified before we ever get that VTOL frame certified. So this is kind of the goal, right? The end all goal. This is our suite of products at Beta on the charging side. And to date, we've just installed that middle charger, right? It's the bread and butter, the thing you need. It's the actual charger. It pumps electrons into the plane, right? And we have, man, they're gonna hate me if I screw this number up, but probably close to 50,000 flight test hours to date on our airframes, right? So we've been able to learn a lot of data. And what we've learned is that battery conditioning is going to play a huge key in electric aircraft, right? Anybody drive EVs in here? All right, so on your traditional car EVs, right, when you go to charge and you push, I'm going to charge, your battery will actually start to condition itself on the way to the charger, right? Well, with aircraft, right, for the pilots in the room, do any of you take off and just be like, hey, I'm gonna go till I run out of gas and land, right? No. So you're gonna plan all that out, right? You have to plan your fuel. And so the number one thing that's super important too, as David pointed out, is your weight. And so we have to leave all that fluid and stuff on the ground with electric aircraft. And that's where that battery conditioning comes in. And as long as battery health long term. And so we're just starting to kind of transition into installing both the vehicle charging and the battery conditioning at the same time. And then a little bit further out, kind of the next generation is your cabin heating and cooling. So that way, when David wants to go hop in the plane in the future, it'll be a nice crisp 70 degrees in the winter or summer, right? And I should notice, I just got a text. We increased our payload by 10 pounds. So
I can ride your
you can ride in the airplane now. Yeah, cool. So real quick, just some specs on our charge cube. We're 320 kW, which is one of the biggest EV chargers out there, right? We have a 50-foot cord, which is the longest certified cord of any EV charger in the world right now. Completely pay in, pay out, meaning she's actually pushing buttons on that charger and that cord is automatically coming out, automatically coming in. It is completely multimodal, meaning if you have a car that has a CCS plug, you can plug it in, you can charge it, all that, right? We adopted a worldwide standard for a reason, and our charger, no exception. I would like to say that our charger is built by pilots for the aircraft environment. We started off buying off-the-shelf car chargers and using them. We realized they're really good at charging cars. They were never made to charge planes, right? They're tall, they've got unnecessary features, the cord's really short. So we went out, we built our own, and we've had massive success with it.
Hey, Chris, can I add, or keep going?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to add one thing, a point that you made is that those chargers can charge car. It recognizes that if it's a ground vehicle and a different requirement, you can plug in. And so if you have ground equipment, tugs or things that are electric, when you're not charging an airplane, you can charge those.
Yes, and we've actually, we're up to 5 airports when we put this in. They've went out and they bought F-150 Lightnings for their ops vehicles, and now their ops vehicles never leave their airside. I think the op guys were upset about, but the airport managers were happy about. And so you get rid of oil changes. There's all sorts of benefits, right? To pull up, charge, leave, right?
Chris, one thing you mentioned, I didn't quite follow. You said something about leaving the fluid there. What did you mean?
Right. So this TMS cube that you see on the screen, it actually has a glycol water mix, and the good glycol, not the toxic environmental glycol in it, I should say. And so what that means is, so right now in the Teslas, there's actually that mix in the car. And so it will pump through the battery to cool the battery while charging when you're at a charging station. In a car, you're not worried about weight. You can drive around with it, right? In a plane, weight is probably your most important thing, right? You want that plane to be as light as possible. Every pound you have of something that's not cargo or a person is a pound less of utility you could use in that plane, right? So with electric aircraft, the industry, we have to leave that liquid on the ground. So we'll actually pump it in while it charges. It'll cool that battery down to optimal takeoff temperature. And then we'll actually suck that liquid out. You'll disengage and then you'll go take off. Okay, if that makes sense. Yeah, so there's actually 2 ports on this handle. There's an in and an out, and it's as simple as that. So this is our charging station map to date, right? This is actually, sorry, as of yesterday, I didn't update it, is 52 online. 2 in Michigan came online this week. And so right now we've been focused on the East Coast. We're based up in Vermont. We're very customer focused on our charging stations. So all this is based on customer focus to date. However, my job, the reason I'm here, is West Coast expansion. Utah is going to be putting some in this year. We have some really good momentum with some Washington chargers next year, and California is really leaning into this. And the goal would be to get Colorado on the map here very soon. So want to touch base on Metcalfe's law. I don't know if any of you know or are aware of it, but if we put 2 charging stations in, right, you have 1 meaningful route you could fly. If we get 5 charging stations in, now you have 10 routes. But the minute you just get up to 12, you now have 66 meaningful routes that you can fly. And the power of this is you don't need that many charging stations to really get a lot of useful routes to fly around the state, if that makes sense. This is a really want to touch on this slide. Industry alignment on charging, right? So we have talked to just about every other OEM in this space, including the ones at Centennial. And we've all aligned, except for one, I won't name them, on the CCS1 standard as the charger, which is the most widely adopted standard out there, right? And so all that to say is the Beta charger can charge Beta aircraft, but it can also charge all of these other aircraft listed on here too. I'll touch on this really quick. I really just like this photo, right? So this is our aircraft flying over the Grand Canyon. And that's actually it flying. And it's taken from a Cessna Caravan chaser plane. And so what we're able to do with our flight test is we're able to fly a chaser plane and our plane, and we're able to get data on the traditional aircraft and electric aircraft at the same time, the same route. We can analyze that data and I can give you awesome numbers, right? So we think based on our data, it's going to be about 40 times cheaper to charge this plane than it will be the conventional avgas plane. Maintenance is really where you're going to save the money, where we think it's going to be about 1/3 the cost to maintain our aircraft as the traditional aircraft. And honestly, there's just fewer parts. There's 70% fewer parts. The only liquid on this plane is the brake fluid and the water bottle that you bring on board with you. Other than that, it's all air cooled, it's all magnets, it's all fly-by-wire. So it's a very simple plane in its nature on purpose.
And Chris, one of the things that impressed me was not only is it 70% less parts, it's a significant number of less moving parts.
Yes.
Like in the motor has 1 moving part.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to see. It's hard to see the motor back there, but the motor is this big, and it's actually 2 motors because in order to certify, you have to have full redundancy. And then even more within there, within each motor. It's actually 4 motors within each motor. So you can lose 1/8 of your engine, and it's technically in the FAA's eyes a critical engine failure, but you still have 7/8 of your engine fly. Makes sense. Again, I know I'm on time. I'm running up on time, Dave. I'm sorry, but so this is a really cool thing we're super proud of. We actually carried the Blade CEO in this route up in New York, and it is the first passenger carrying electric flight ever to take place. And so we're really super proud of that milestone as a company. And also, just, you know, this slide shows you that electric aviation's here. It's coming faster than we all anticipated, but we flew this actual route with our aircraft, fully electric, all on our own network where we could. Once we got to Arkansas, we had to use a charge truck. And the goal is one day we could refly this and be completely on our own charging network, right? And that's all I have. So complete open invitation to Burlington, Vermont. We'll feed you lunch. We'll maybe get you up in the plane. They're going to kill me for saying that, but you know, we'll show you the manufacturing facility where the charger's made. Hopefully get you up in a flight. It's a great time to go in October. If you go in January, bring your jacket. We're super excited to be here. Hopefully we can get that charging infrastructure to bring the economic development, help with the lead and the gas issue, and bring electric aviation to the state.
Chris, what's the range?
Yeah, great question. So right now, our range of our CTOL, you're looking at with reserves, so it's about 200 nautical miles. Now, battery technology is increasing every day. It's actually doubling every 7 years. So in 7 years, that'll actually be 400 miles and so on and so forth.
Chris, how about an operating ceiling, service ceiling with the full load?
Yeah, so it's going to be your 14,000 because it's not oxygen. There's no oxygen. Your oxygen is actually your limiting factor on that. Yeah.
Okay. Other questions?
Yeah, on the motor, when you look on the website, you see all the electric, you know, Newton meters or all that. What's the equivalent horsepower of the electric motor?
Great question. I think we're 380 something. So
what's the weight? Gross weight?
Oh, the weight of the motor or the weight of the
the whole airplane.
So the FAA dictates it at 6,999 pounds. Okay.
So what's cool about the motor, and as Chris said, they're certified in. They're selling the motor to other, you know, like Eve is a customer for the motor because technology that they developed and the process that you developed, you can hold them. I mean, it's so, but a lot of companies have historically, if you watch a lot of aircraft manufacturers and new ones, those that have been fledgling, going from prototype to production, it's the killer. You know, that Beta has paid a lot of attention to this. And so that transition, as they've developed their prototypes and now production airplanes, they're ready to scale up. And they have much more reasonable expectations on how many units and so on and so forth. But it was kind of cool because Burlington's a really busy airport. So you watch the Alea and the conga line trying to wait to get out, and it pulls up to the airplane in front of it and the propeller stops. You know, there's no reason to run the propeller. It's so easy to start. So
yeah, in fact, our flight test team, CEO is famous for he came in really high, pulled the power out 13 miles and flight it in, and you have no engine noise. So if your power isn't there, you're effectively a glider. They actually have competitions of like how far they can go.
One more thing that because it really goes to the culture of Beta. Can you talk about the flying program that?
Yeah, absolutely.
That you have for all your employees, and I'm going to comment about.
Yeah,
one employee I met.
So Beta Technology is a very special place to work. I'm very humbled and honored to work there. Many reasons, but one of it, which our CEO has this huge mission of, if you had a bunch of people that didn't know how to drive a car, that they were tasked to design a car, they probably wouldn't design a very good car. So everyone at Beta gets to learn to fly for free, as we have a whole fleet of aircraft I did not learn to fly. I got my pilot's license before, but I'm working on my IFR through beta, and every time I go up there, I have so much fun flying all around. But I would say a little over half of our employees are pilots, and it is like you took 750 aviation nerds and put them in a room, and the common tongue never stops, right? And so it's you feel very special. Everyone knows what a METAR is, what a TAF is. They know the airport culture. It's funny because normally, if you're in a conversation with my friends and a plane goes over, I just look up at beta, the whole team looks up. So it's cool. It's great. And to put that, when I said that this charger was made, or the plane is made by pilots for pilots, it's true. Everyone who works on this is pretty much a pilot, or they have some sort of, they're becoming a pilot, right? And so everything down to, well, how's the cord going to lay, right? Can I walk this out? How tall can this thing be, right? Like as a pilot, when you pull up, how close do you want to be to it, right? To the taxiing, the decisions made, like everything down to the detail is made by pilots because they're like, hey, when I fly, that's what I want, right? So, which you don't always get in the world.
So Chris says they have a fleet. It's not a couple of airplanes. In a variety, they have 24 airplanes, including helicopters. So we had dinner one night in the hangar, and we're playing bags. And my partner from Beta was like, he's been there 4 years. He started out in finance and hadn't really flown in a little airplane. Went through. It was taught to learn his private pilot license. Went all the way through, got a CFI. Now he's a CFI, not only in the, it's not a flying club, but in the flying department for Beta, but he also is flying test flights on the Leah. I think he said he had 52 hours in the airplane.
Yeah, he's actually flying the plane out west right now.
This guy came in as a finance people, so it's a really cool culture.
A lot of stories of, we obviously have a mission of serving underprivileged communities, and also giving people who, aviation historically is a very expensive hobby, very expensive thing to tap into, right? And so giving people that opportunity, I could name you 10 people off the top of my head. One in particular I'll mention, he was a carpenter, never, started out, went from 0 to CFI in 9 months, which is unheard of. And now he flies for NetJets, and he thanks Beta because outside of that, he never would have been given that opportunity, right? So it's kind of Beta's way to also give back and help solve the pilot shortage as well. So,
well, that's comment. I'll be quiet, Dave. Is that the NREL study we did very, very relevant to these folks? So
absolutely, and I've shared that with Chris, and this is exactly the kind of aircraft that study took a look at, and we staff have had conversations with airports about. That's the kind of charging infrastructure you want to put in, and it works on multiple airplanes. I obviously can't give Beta money, but we can give airports money and put them in touch with several airports in Colorado. And of course, under 1235, electric aircraft charging infrastructure would be part of that 1.5 million that goes right to the top of our grant program. So we're chomping at the bit to see an airport submit a grant application to put in the infrastructure. This is exactly what the NREL study was pointing us towards.
Yeah, I reached out to several different airports, heard back from a few, and I'm trying to meet with as many as possible this week while I'm here. So I'm actually going to Centennial to meet with them tomorrow, but any other airports that are here or online, I'd love to. My afternoon tomorrow, completely open. I have a car. Unfortunately, I don't have a plane, but I'm happy to drive to you, meet with you, and discuss the next steps of making this happen.
Mr. Chair, and on that, Chris, and thanks for that presentation. I think, and this is absolutely the right audience to talk to the airports and Department of Transportation. But we think about, Colorado, it's really been the Colorado Energy Office that has really been the forefront of sort of developing and helping pave the way for our charging infrastructure, development of our EV corridors and charging corridors. Have you been in touch with the Energy Office as well?
I have not, but I would love if you have a contact. Yes. But yeah, 100%. Yes. So I'm also going to stick around for the rest of the meeting. So after the meeting, come up to more questions. I could talk all day on this. So
one last for your 200 miles, what's the power?
Yeah, so our battery is 225 kWh, right? And so For those of you, batteries are in KWH, so we're actually having to retrain, or I shouldn't say that, but educate the FAA on how the pilot is going to think about electric aviation in there, because it doesn't make sense so to do like a percentage of battery on your iPhone, because what does 50% battery tell you? Absolutely nothing, right? So in our cockpit, it'll actually show you how many kilowatt hours your battery has and your kilowatt usage. And the pilot we're actually giving the power to the pilot for him to do math or her to do math of, hey, this is how much time I have. Do I need to pull back my power? Do I need to put more power? All of that, right? So our battery is 225 kW. With reserves, your useful is going to be about 180, 190, just because you have to have those VFR or IFR reserves, right? So.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the financial update. Bryce?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we'll go right through these. As always, stop me if you have questions. So these, just a heads up, these slides are looking at the June numbers, so the end of fiscal year 2025. So we'll be doing just a quick summary on the final numbers for the year, and then we'll get back into the reporting on the current fiscal year with next month's email and then October's meeting. So June revenue came in at 4.5 million, which was 107 forecast. 4.2 million. It was up 1.4 million from May's revenue, 3.1. Putting the year-to-date revenue at 47.6 million. And that number was below the 50 million forecasted, original budget of 56 million. But as we'll talk about when we get to the United part there, roughly 7.6 of that missing amounts pertains potentially to filings that we can track. Overall, from a revenue perspective, it was our third highest year on record for revenues with the division. The last 3 years have been the three highest on record. So as we continue to grow at Denver, obviously the impact that has on the budget continues to be felt. Next up, we got our cash balance slide. We ended the fiscal year at a cash balance of 28.3 million. Obviously, very healthy cash balance for the division, given where revenues are at, given where liabilities are at. Overall, we do anticipate that dropping somewhat significantly down to 21 million over the course of FY26. We got the big project up at Walden, which will have some significant drawdowns coming in. And just as we've continued to build our grant program, those bills coming back to us to reimburse is going to see the cash balance, which is exactly as we had forecast and projected, and why we did the aggressive grant program in 2025 to get a little more cash out there to get that balance dropped out in a timely fashion. Next up, our administration expenses. For the fiscal year 25, we spent 731,000 in admin expenses. That means we are at 1.4% of FY24 revenue, well below the 5% statutory cap. Next year, obviously, revenue is a little bit lower than it was the year before, but we should still be in that 1.5 to 2% range is what we're projecting for FY26 for our admin budget. So still extremely lean and cost efficient as it comes to running a government agency. And then the final slide on here as we look at the end of the fiscal year is the fuel flow. Flowage at Denver for FY25 came out to a total of 581 million gallons, a new all-time record, and a 9.3% increase compared to FY24. Obviously, that continued strong performance at Denver has resulted in high division revenues. They averaged 48.5 million gallons a month last fiscal year, which again is just setting records, but 16 consecutive monthly records where it was been the highest flow ever for that month, and 30 the past 31. You can see it on there. There's only one little glip on there that was March, I believe, back in 2024, where it was less than the previous year. So continue to just see Denver growing and growing as far as fuel flow with little evidence to slow down anytime soon. So that gives us a higher kind of benchmark as far as where our finances go. And then obviously oil prices still being relatively strong at $65 a barrel and a correlation to jet fuel from there. So
Overall, the division's finances are and remain in great shape. And we're looking forward to FY 26 to get that cash balance down a little bit, because that means that big projects are getting done throughout the state and we're putting that money to good use. So happy to answer any questions the board might have on FY 25 numbers, or any questions you have for FY 26 coming up.
Questions? Okay.
Easy. All right. Next up, we've got me again. As I mentioned, the United fuel tax update. We did talk about it quite a bit in depth yesterday there. Some of the mechanisms we used to try to determine the estimated amount that hasn't shown up when United has stopped being their own fuel vendor and has diversed into Sinclair, Phillips 66, and Valero that we know of, supplying the fuel and continually working with DOR to try to capture all of that revenue. Through FY 25, our estimates based on historical flow data, both for United and those other vendors, is that there's roughly $7.6 million in revenue that we have not seen yet, and continue to work with DOR to try and identify and get that in our hands, so that 2/3 of that can go straight back to Denver. So it's not that we're missing out on that in our cash balance. It's 2.5 million roughly of that, but we want to make sure that gets collected back out to Denver, which then goes back out to the airlines with their fees and everything like that. So we do continue to chase that. As mentioned yesterday, once I get the numbers here next week or the week after for actual July transactions, we'll be certain Dave and I'll get together and come up with that plan of attack to try to get DOR to be a little more responsive and take some action on that, because that'll give us another a bookend point for the July numbers, where this was normal, last year was not. This is ideally normal-ish this year, and we can clearly kind of show that gap that, hey, there's obviously something missing here. So that's our plan of attack with that. Like I said, that 7.6 number at the end of FY 25. Going to be some variance within that, but based on historical data, growth at Southwest, which is the closest to what United had been volume-wise, and just try to capture that missing volume. That's the number we came out, and we have shared that with DOR as well to try to help get that solved. So we'll continue updating you on that every meeting until it is resolved.
Yes, thank you, Bryce. And yesterday in our workshop, we had talked about a board letter to DOR to help get their attention. I don't think we need to take a vote on it, but is everybody okay with doing so? Okay, I'm seeing heads nod. So let's put that in a quiver, Dave, as you have those conversations and you think it's timely or if it would be helpful.
I will. I have my monthly regular update with Executive Director Lou, and I'll flag this for her and then make sure we've got, need to work that through her, but absolutely put that together. And at the right time that Bryce says now's the time to send it, we'll get that done.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And then the next part for me here, I am looking for action from the board to approve our planned 2026 grant program in the amount of $16 million. As we discussed yesterday, they're going through the financials based on our cash currently, the grants out on hand, the way our forecasting works around the worst case forecast of Denver and all of that. That is the recommended amount we are thinking to the board, which if approved, the team can then start finalizing their CIP process with all the airports, and we can hit the ground running in January with a plan on how to spend that. So I am looking for official action from the board to approve the proposed $16 million grant program in 2026.
Would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, very good.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So today I just have 3 administrative grant updates for you all to report. 2 are for supplemental grant funding that was added to grants already issued this year. The first one is for Meeker Airport, and it has to do with their ASOS relocation or automated service observing system, for those of you that don't know. And they actually received additional federal entitlement funding. So we added 1,000. Oh, sorry. Gosh, I got those mixed up. This is for the apron reconstruction project at Meeker, and they received additional federal funding. And we added more match in the amount of $3,947. And then I started on the wrong side. Craig, sorry, that's where the ASOS relocation is. And the amount that we issued them is up $1,434. And then also we issued $16,000 for an intern at Colorado Springs Municipal Airport. And that is all I have to report as far as administrative grant updates.
Questions for Scott? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, let's go to agenda item 9.1. Scott?
Yeah, thank you, Ian. Mr. Chair. So as we do every August, we're doing our annual update to the Programs and Procedures Manual to cover any changes in policy that have occurred since last year. Just to go over some of those, ad composition was updated and the new organizational structure of the division was updated. And we also updated the weather reporting station reimbursements for AWAS reimbursement program to include non-certified weather. And then we also added the Aviation Partner of the Year Award. And I would be looking for a motion to approve the 2025-A draft Programs and Procedures Manual.
Okay.
I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, 9.2, Hetty.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will be asking for a motion for this as well. And it is for the updating of the Aviation Education Workforce Development Grant Manual. And as we discussed yesterday, there were just a few updates to reflect. Most specifically was the change in the new grant application form, going from a Google form to the WIMS, which would kind of fall in line with all of the other grants that go through the division, as well as implementing grant funding minimums up to $1,000. So I'm asking for approval for that request.
So
We have a motion.
second.
And a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? I guess I should ask if there's anyone opposed. I don't think I've done that. Be opposed. Okay, the ayes have it.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, before you move on, I have to point out, Sean, I love this picture. If you look very closely at this picture he took at Oshkosh, that airplane has a piece of paper stuck to its wing that was there the entire routine. I'm quite sure how that worked out, but when Sean zoomed in on it, we're like, what is stuck on the wing of that airplane? And it's just, I don't know why that's fascinating to me.
It was an advertisement that said, we need a photographer for us. I just thought, what a great way to end the
I noticed was how perfectly level this shot is, but if you notice, you got like full aileron deflection.
That dropped, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, it looked good.
Sorry for the sidebar, Mr. Chair.
Great. Okay, item 10.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. So we had only a few events since the last board meeting. Most notably is going to be Oshkosh, of course, and we'll talk a little bit about that later on. So I won't go into that or delve into that too much, but do you have what we present?
I do.
So this one is a really cool one. It's the Silver West Air Fest in West Cliff, Colorado. That was last weekend before last. And they had a fantastic turnout. Lots of aircraft flew in. I pretty much was inside of their little FBO on the flight simulator the entire time. So I didn't have a chance to get out and take too many photos of that event. But the weather was absolutely perfect out there. And so they love us coming down, and it's just fun being with that community because it's pretty large. I would say probably close to 1,000 people attended. So just for the community alone. Granby has a similar fly-in, and they kind of had the same thing. Just everyone from the valley just kind of congregates to that spot. So it's pretty cool. So As far as updates on upcoming events, September, I would say, is arguably the busiest month in Colorado for aviation events. We have 2 huge air shows, so many fly-ins. I actually updated the calendar when I put the memo out. I got probably 6 more events to put onto the calendar, so they didn't make it to that memo. So I apologize for that. So I'll just point out Salida Air Show, September 6th. This Saturday is the Rams Aviation Club Chrisman Field fly-in, which is really cool. It actually was postponed. I think they got rained out in April, could have been snowed out, I don't remember. But so they postponed that. So it was rescheduled for this Saturday. So the Great Colorado Air Show up at FNL is on the 20th September. I think there's, I don't know, 3 or 4 events that day. It's kind of crazy, as Trimby mentioned, the Women in Aviation, Girls in Aviation event. There's also the Kremling Pancake Breakfast fly-in that day. There's lots of stuff going on. We are also going to the NASAO convention. There's 3 of us from the office going, plus 1 board member, Trimby. And it is in Anchorage this year. I get to attend as a speaker for our education committee. We have a session as well as a panel for the NASAO AASHTO meeting to talk about an aviation education dashboard that was created by Mead and Hunt, and they use ArcGIS for that, and it's just really cool. So lots of really great things happening, not just in Colorado, but around the country. So.
Very cool. Great honor to get to speak there.
Yes, thank you.
Hey, I have a question. I'm sorry. I am priding myself on my aircraft identification skills. What kind of airplane is that?
I don't know. It kind of looks like.
It says Royal
Me too.
It's a Royal Navy on it.
Hey, isn't it?
What is
So I saw this airplane. It's owned by a gentleman, I believe, at Meadow Lake.
Yes.
And he bought it and brought it back. That is one of the most accurately restored. That airplane got shipped to Europe, never left the container, got shipped back to the US after the war. And then there's a gentleman in the Northeast that specializes in restoring these airplanes. And you look inside of it and it is 100% original World War II. It is incredible.
What kind is it? Do you know?
I think it's a Howard DGA, isn't it? I could be wrong. I'm probably.
So that's a sidebar. I did.
Oh, you got it.
It's very odd anyway.
You just turned my aviation on right there, but it's a very cool airplane. I believe it's at Meadow Lake.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's cool. Sorry for this.
Thank you, Patty.
Thank you.
Item 10.2, Bill.
Okay, I don't think that's a DGH. I think that's a DGH. I think what that may be is, I just lost my train of thought, but that's not a DGH. It's similar looking.
Okay.
Anyway, couple of things on the digital tower front. As you probably know, there's approximately $50 million that has been specifically set aside for digital tower development. The FAA is currently in the process of trying to figure out what they can do with it. I will let you know that I have put our marker down to make sure that the state of Colorado is at the top of the list to be able to acquire some of those funds. And it's interesting to see, we're starting to get a lot of interest in digital tower development. Unfortunately, the testing going at ACY, at the tech center they've had weather problems. They've had 2 lightning strikes on their camera masts. They have 3 camera masts exactly like we installed at FNL. I had some fun with that. I said, didn't you guys ground and bond that according to order number 19E? And of course, that made everybody's kind of act funny, but the program is going pretty well. They're through the batch 3 testing. They've run into a couple of issues, one being visibility, being able to detect a target at 2.5 nautical miles. I don't know why that is surprising to anybody. There are too many variables in that. There, as I've said before, it's the size of the airplane, it's the color of the airplane, it's the visibility that day, it's the aspect ratio of the airplane. Is it headed towards you? Is it turning? You know, I mean, there are too many variables. Even with the unaided human eye, you can't see that. Another issue that's occurring right now is the FAA is in their testing are trying to make the system design approval for a single runway airport only. And I've argued this point with not only the Next Gen but also NATCA. The Next Gen folks are pretty much taking the what I'm saying to heart. If you have a controlled airport, you only have one runway at a time that's active, right? I mean, unless you're in DIA, which is a different situation. But so I said by procedures. So what the FAA has decided to do is they are going to go to Bartow, Florida. Frequentis has installed their system as part of a training facility for a local college there. And so they're going to go, they have crossing runways. I've been talking to the airport manager. He and I have been going back and forth on a few things. So I think the FAA is going to go there, which brings me to my next thing is the FAA has said that they're going to be able to go to 3 different places. Right now, they're looking at Bartow, since it's already up and running, and their Senator Cruz is lobbying heavily to go to Texas. Now, I don't think that's going to work out as well as they think it is. And then they have told me, they meaning the Next Gen management, that we are going to be on the top of the list for part of that funding. I think Dave and I have been working on a concept of a digital tower center, which would house multiple airports. We'd be looking at going to Grand Junction as the place to put it for several different reasons. Number one of the big ones is cost of living. Number two is it's a hub for telecommunications, and we need that for the video. So that's one of the things that I believe, and that as the Digital Tower Center was specifically a requirement or request in the 2018 reauthorization bill, been carried over in the current reauthorization bill. So I think we're in excellent position to be able to prosecute this movement. I've come up with a funding scheme, which is kind of interesting, that I think will work. And Dave and I have been talking about this a little bit. So stay tuned. On Tuesday, the new administrator, Brian Bedford, went to the tech center and went to the NARP, where they're testing it, and along with all the couple of congressional people, and they were all extremely, impressed with the system. I think we'll be able to get through testing of the system no later by the end of this year. SDA, I'm forecasting by the second quarter of 2026, unless something happens. So one of the big items is to be able to get the documentation that's required into the program. Additionally, I have been invited or asked if I would chair or have a technical session at ATCA this year on digital towers. And I'm going to invite Frequentis. I'm still trying to decide whether I'm going to go. I've got to find out some things because I want the FAA to participate as well. And I've written yet another paper, which is regarding digital towers, which I'm trying to put the finishing touches on, and y'all will be seeing that shortly. So, any questions?
Thank you, Bill.
That's good, Bill.
Okay, 10.3, Oshkosh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I'll just giving a recap on Colorado's presence at the world's greatest aviation celebration in Oshkosh, Wisconsin this year. We had this is our second year as an independent exhibitor at the event. We got a little bit bigger this year. We had a 10x10 last year, and it was overwhelmingly very busy that year. So we expanded to a 20x20. So you can see here, we were in Hangar C, and we had a 10x20 there. And that was basically what it looked like for the entire week. Our booth was packed full of people. And we were giving out our airport directories, our aeronautical charts. We were showcasing our aviation, our mountain pass cameras, giving the pilots the resources they need when they want to fly to Colorado, which is not a hard sell. It's not like, hey, you gotta fly to Colorado. People just automatically want to fly here. But our job was to get them to come here, get them the resources they need to do it safely. So we had a great team this year. We had Dave, myself, Kip, Hetty. We had 2 board members present on the field. We had Mark and Daniel there, and Todd was there as well. So we had a great crew. We had a partial split crew. We needed all the help we could because our booth was super busy. We gave away close to 900 airport directories and aeronautical charts each. So we had a lot of boxes of books and charts down there, and they were gone. We also gave away some foam planes to the kids, which is a lot of fun to strategically hand these off to kids. Their faces to see that is pretty awesome. I would love to see how many kids become pilots because of our little airplane, or at least got them going. So also featured on the airport directory, we had, as you probably have seen, the Metropolitan State University of Denver's Game Bird is on the front cover. So we gladly had them come into our booth to feature them because we're handing out the books, and then also to showcase what they do at Metro, especially with the champion aerobatics team. They're 2024 champions. They've actually won it a few times prior to that. But also just on there, we had Sean Duffy came out and had some really good news to unveil on the Mosaic ruling, which really opens up access to general aviation to pilots. And so it was just an amazing event and a great partnership with Colorado Pilots Association. So I thought, I get the question all the time, especially from my wife, like, you're going to an air show for a week for work, like, and I'm like, it's really, we're working our butts off. It's a lot of work, but we're having a lot of fun. So I get these questions all the time of, what are we doing there? And so I thought, what a great opportunity to put together a short video about what our mission was, and really focusing on that. I could have made this video an hour-long documentary, but I really wanted to focus on what our specific mission as the division was. So if it's all right, I'll go ahead and show that real quick. So, and the opening scene features the Beta aircraft. So
I love it.
Aaron. And we know if we'll get audio.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome stuff. If you look at technology.
If it flies, it's here.
It's the largest aviation event in the world.
Over 10,000 aircraft.
Probably will be a record year, so we'll have 10,000 airplanes.
A record-shattering 704,000 people from 94 countries.
There are people coming from all over the world.
All touching down at Whitman Regional Airport in Oshkosh, Wisconsin for the ultimate aviation experience.
It's the biggest celebration of aviation anywhere, and it's just something you have to experience to fully understand it.
Everybody who has a passion or connection to airplanes is here.
It's just amazing.
Amid 1,400 acres of roaring engines, home-built masterpieces, and flying legends, Colorado claimed just 200 square feet as one of nearly 1,000 exhibitors. But we came with a mission.
For us as a division of aeronautics here at EAA, it gives us this unbelievably unique opportunity to reach out and talk to people that we normally wouldn't get to talk to at home in Colorado and help them learn how to fly safely in Colorado.
With the knowledge base that we have here, it's a great opportunity to meet with people and kind of give them an idea of what flying in Colorado is like.
Here's the things that you need to think about and to prepare and to train on before you go fly a mountain pass or fly up in the mountains.
In partnership with the Colorado Pilots Association, our goal was clear.
Both you at CDOT and us at CPA are trying to get the word out about getting training before you go flying in the mountains.
I think the biggest thing we are really happy to share with people are the aeronautical chart and the airport directory that we publish that have all of this information that helps people fly safely.
Some of Colorado's most skilled pilots were there, offering firsthand insights into mountain flying safety and showcasing the state's hidden gem destinations.
Sandifer, yeah. And he gave a talk on flying in Colorado at high altitude.
We have a lot of accidents in mountains that are completely preventable with proper training and knowledge. And pilots, flatland pilots come to Colorado and primarily don't understand density, altitude, and the performance issues.
The higher you go, the less performance the airplanes make and the less lift they make. And then if it gets hot on top of that, the density altitude rises.
Colorado has some amazing airports. Amazing airports. The diversity of airports Colorado has is incredible.
Airports in Colorado are super niche and they're in their own right unique, but everybody has something to learn from flying in Colorado.
The feedback was, we had no idea that Colorado was so cool. And when's the best time to fly in Colorado? So I answered all those questions.
I hope by that time I'll have a little bit more experience and I want to go check out all the different airports in Colorado.
And featured on the cover of the 2025 Colorado Airport Directory, we proudly spotlighted our partners at Metropolitan State University of Denver, home of the Collegiate National Aerobatic Champions, the MSU Denver Aerobatics team.
The university is sharing, or kindly allowed to share the booth with CDOT this year. We have the airplane here actually on the grounds out on the flight line.
It's amazing. How cool is that?
The countdown is on, ready to share more resources, more expertise, and more ways to explore our skies safely. See you at EAA AirVenture 2026.
Well, there you have it. And now you know who's been to Oshkosh. This room has been to Oshkosh. Oh, see, not a lot of people have been there. And it surprises me, but if put it on your bucket list, it really is an amazing place to go, especially for aviation geeks like many of us in this room. So, here's the stats. This is a graphic that EAA put up there. And this is why we go. It's because everybody in aviation is there, including people from the Federal Aviation Administration. Anybody who has anything to do with aviation is there. 704,000 people there. We were almost about 1,000 exhibitors. We were one of those. Tons of volunteers. That really is what makes EAA happen. There is a ton of amazing people and 10,000 plus aircraft. Just amazing. And also, it's you always see. One of the things I've been there almost, 15, 16, 20 times. I don't know. But every year there's a first. There's the first time anybody's ever seen that fly. And Beta was one of those. I don't think, was this the first time you flew there?
Yeah, so this was the first year we really flew. We flew in the Paris Air Show and the Oshkosh.
Yep. So if it's gonna fly for the first time, you're gonna see it at Oshkosh or Paris. So it's an amazing place. So anyway, we're gonna be back there next year for 2026. We've got some great ideas that we're coming up with. One of the things we hope that will be unveiled next year, fingers crossed, is our new Colorado Discover Colorado Airports app passport program. That is really something we're focused on getting out to the public. Anybody have any questions? Happy to answer those.
Very cool. Thanks, Sean. Okay, 10-4. Caitlin.
Good morning, everyone. Sean just discussed what his Christmas morning equivalent of working at aeronautics is, and surplus would be my Christmas morning equivalent for that. This year's surplus sale is scheduled for September the 10th. It was supposed to be today, but we moved it so we could accommodate everybody for this morning, and it has worked out fantastic. So this year we have 21 pieces of equipment from 5 different airports around the state. The airports that have equipment this year are Durango, Junction, Colorado Springs, Air and Spaceport, and Denver. So fewer amounts of equipment than previous years, but still some great options for airports. Half of the budget that we have had in the past, which means everybody should get everything that they're hoping for, in addition to some DEN surplus lighting that they've also made available to other Colorado public use airports. So another great year of surplus. And when we see you in October in Pueblo, I'll have the full rundown of what everybody got, but another smooth year of a great program that we definitely want to keep going. So I just wanted to give you guys an update and thank you for your continued funding of the program. And I will have more next meeting.
Great. Thank you, Caitlin. Legislative updates, Dave.
Really don't have anything for you, Mr. Chair. Steve did a great job of covering the only thing that I'm aware of on the that legislation. I would say that legislation is actually being kind of proffered across a lot of states by the Association for Unmanned or Uncrewed Vehicle Systems. They're the ones really behind that legislation. So we'll see if it gets introduced and how it goes, but we've shared that too. So there's nothing in there right now that has any impact on the division, but we'll pay attention on how it might impact airports. So that's all I have.
Great, thank you. Let's go to 12, proposed calendar.
That, Mr. Chair, so our next regular meeting will be at 1 o'clock on Wednesday, October 15th, Weiss Broad Aircraft Museum down in Pueblo. Looking really forward to that. I think Kip on our team is most looking forward to that. Again, it'll be really cool. Your backdrop behind you on the dais down there will be an F-15 that the museum has in their collection that Kip worked on when he was a maintainer in the Air Force. So very excited to do that. It's kind of cool. They're going to work on that. And Kip's going to give us a detailed background on how to change an engine or two in the F-15.
Absolutely, I'm going to put that to work.
Do it, right? We're doing it. Okay. Remember how, right? Well, probably doesn't have any engines in it anyway. So.
Probably doesn't.
Okay. And then our next regular meeting after that, Mr. Chair, Wednesday, December 17th, here. That will be our state and local grant review for 2026. That's also at 1 o'clock. So those are the next 2 meetings. The last thing that we'll have that we do need action for is adoption of the 2026 meeting calendar, and the one that Caitlin has in front of you, I believe.
Nope, we did not.
Put it up here. I'm sorry. Does reflect the amendments that we had discussed yesterday at the workshop. Most excitingly, moving our October meeting to the 2nd of October so we can come see Angela and her air show at Grand Junction. So we'll look forward to doing our meeting to get the tour of everything you have going on. So that's really exciting. I can't wait for next October. There'll be a motion on that, and then that's the last thing. Okay. Is there a motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? You guys have it. Okay. Are there any other matters by members?
Daniel, just want to, we've talked about it, I think more than once already, but don't forget Great Colorado Air Show at FNL 20th and 21st of September, and the Wings of Pride Air Show on the 27th and 28th. I'll be there with a group of students on the 28th.
Where is something else you want to share?
That's the Pueblo one. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. You want to share the text message you sent me so everybody can have it?
Oh yes, I can.
Sorry, Daniel.
Rain is that airplane we saw on the slide that Dave asked about is a Stinson V-77.
Thank you.
One of the most beautiful wings. Plane. They've got cool inside that. It hurt my brain. I had to look. So
we thought it was a Stinson, but it was like.
Yeah. You have a chance to see that airplane in person. It's accurate down to the headsets hanging in the back of the airplane. It is so cool.
Okay, any other matters? All right, very well. We're adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Like, because like, well, it's just like, oh, that's a cool little shop. Someone will be like, oh, that's definitely. They're like, that's funny. It's funny as whatever. It's like, I did not